All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to another Talking and Grubbing live stream. How's everybody doing this late Sunday night? Everybody's good. Hope your family's good. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back here here with y'all for another live stream. And tonight we are here. Tonight I'm here capping parts 5 and 4 of the Chicago Bulls ESPN documentary, The Last Dance. As you're coming into the live stream, make sure you hit the like button. You know, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Don't make it your last. Subscribe to the channel. And also click the notification bell. Make sure you click all so you don't miss any new video, upcoming live streams from me. Intelligent Psycho, what's up, man? How you doing? How's everything going? You know, that was some, parts 5 and 6 were pretty good of The Last Dance. I want to know your thoughts on parts 5 and 6. What did you take away from them? As I'm here live streaming, recapping. Well, about to grub on this. Oh, make sure y'all see that again. There you go. Had to do something quick since I was coming up on here. Some good salad too. Wipe my mouth here. Just take a little fork, another forkful. Okay, y'all excuse me for that last forkful. All right, let's get started with part 5. Now, part 5, of course, they started off, giving the tribute to Kobe Bryant, as The Last Dance was basically his last public interview. Well, the last interview that's going to be aired on TV, excuse me. And, Kobe reminisced about the first time he went up against Michael Jordan in the All-Star game. And he also talked about all the knowledge and all the tools he gave him to be successful. He heavily credited Michael Jordan for making him tougher, a better player, and a better winner and competitor. He said that he doesn't win 5 championships without Michael Jordan. Now, in the 98 All-Star game, Kobe was coming in. He was a rising star, and Michael, was telling everybody on the Eastern Conference team that, Kobe just takes the game over. He doesn't let the game come to him. He just, takes charge in the game. And Jordan said that he was going to make Kobe work in this game, despite the fact it was an all-star game. And, he said if he and Kobe were playing on the same team and he was doing that, he said he wouldn't give him the fucking ball. Those were his words, not mine. He would tell him, if you want this ball again, you better rebound. And, Michael Jordan definitely gave Kobe some work that day, despite the fact it was the All-Star game in New York City at Madison Square Garden. And Jordan did put on a hell of a show, as he was named All-Star Game MVP. Since, most people thought that this was going to be the final All-Star game he ever played in or ever be seen in. Get some more of this salad. And also, at the time, a lot of people pegged Kobe to be the next Michael Jordan after Jordan retired. A lot of people thought Kobe was going to carry the torch at that time because a lot of his moves was very similar to Jordan's, and they were, you know, especially his J. His J was definitely similar to Michael Jordan's. But in Kobe's interview, you could definitely see how he and Jordan were very close off the court. That's why Michael Jordan showed a lot of emotion at Kobe's memorial a couple of months ago. You can tell he and Kobe had a very close relationship, and Kobe definitely learned a lot under Jordan's tutelage. So that was a great interview by the late, great Kobe Bryant. Once again, to Kobe, may he rest in peace. Also, his daughter Gigi's birthday just passed. You know, she would have been 14 years old. Rest in peace to Gigi, as well as to the other, as well as to the other 7 people that tragically perished in that crash back in January. Okay, now also in part 6, it flashed back to March of '98, where Michael Jordan played in the Garden once again, and Michael Jordan put on a hell of a show in his favorite arena. He scored 40 points, but also he went back to the Jordan 1s instead of wearing his traditional Jordans that he wore almost every game. And his feet definitely paid the price, because he said in his interview, he said that as soon as he took off his shoe, his socks were soaked in blood. Wow. That's very unbelievable. And and I know that's a nasty ass sight. All right, I'm seeing y'all coming in. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, want to hear your thoughts and comments on tonight's airing of The Last Dance, parts 5 and 6. And if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Don't make it your last. Subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell and click all so you don't miss any new videos or upcoming live streams from me. Because as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a live stream during both broadcasts of the final 2 parts of The Last Dance, parts 7 and 8, and parts 9 and 10. And also next Sunday, I'm going to have a special guest on the live stream recap for parts 7 and 8, and that's going to be my dude Jay Moore Reviews. You know, he's from Chicago. He's currently in Indianapolis, but he's a diehard Bulls fan. So I'm definitely going to pick his brain on that time in Chicago, in that era. So y'all definitely want to check that out next Sunday. Now, as Michael Jordan wore the Jordan 1s to his final game in the Garden in '98, the documentary flashed back to 1984 when Jordan just got into the NBA, and Nike was pursuing him hard to be the face of their company. Now, at the time, Nike was not Nike back then. Nike was just an upstart company out in Oregon. As a matter of fact, a lot of y'all don't know this, and also I didn't know this either, thanks to Harvey of Your World, who's also a native Chicagoan. I got the info from one of his videos. Nikes used to be sold in grocery stores back in the day. Nike was not Nike back then. Matter of fact, the number 1 shoe to have was, Converse. As we all know, famously with the Chuck Taylors, also Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all those cats back then had big deals with Converse. Excuse me. But Nike was pursuing Michael Jordan relentlessly to be their face, since they didn't have a well-known athlete to be the face of their company. And also, Michael Jordan's agent at the time, David Falk, wanted to market, Michael Jordan as a global icon, just like they were doing with tennis players such as the late great Arthur Ashe. But here's the catch. Jordan did not want to meet with Nike at the time. He felt they were too small. He felt that they weren't big enough for his brand. And he was just going to go there. Well, matter of fact, he wasn't going to go there. It was his mom, Miss Dolores Jordan, that could, well, not just her, but also his father, James Jordan. But she definitely was heavily in his ear telling him that he needs to go to Nike and hear what they're talking about, hear, what they're offering, what they're presenting. Excuse me. Now, also what I learned at the time, a lot of these NBA players were only getting paid like, say, $100,000 for a sneaker endorsement. They weren't getting the multi-million-dollar endorsements like they do today. They were only getting, say, getting $100,000 starting to, as an endorsement. Michael Jordan, he ended up getting $250,000 endorsement from Nike, despite the fact he was a rookie. He hadn't even played a single NBA game yet, and that was pretty, crazy at the time to give an unproven rookie a massive, shoe contract. And also, Nike at the time was developing, technology to put air soles in their shoes. So, I think it was Michael Jordan's agent or one of the Nike execs who just said, let's just call them Air Jordans. And the executive and the other Nike executive just said, hey, that's a pretty nice ring to it. And that's how the whole Air Jordan thing kicked off. I'm sweating under these lights, y'all. Y'all gotta excuse me. So yeah, that's how the whole Air Jordan phenomenon kicked off, because Nike was developing air soles in their sneakers, plus Michael Jordan, he could fly through the air at the time, so they just came up with the Air Jordan concept. Get some more of this salad. And also, Jordan definitely changed the way sneakers and tennis shoes were perceived. Back then, sneakers and tennis shoes were more for, just basketball. A lot of people didn't consider those type of shoes fashionable. Jordan changed all that by making sneakers very fashionable. And everybody wanted it on the, phenomenon. As y'all also know, back in the mid-'80s, Spike Lee directed a series of commercials with Michael Jordan where he revised his character from She's Gotta Have It, where he played Mars Blackman. And they did a series of successful commercials back in the 80s. Matter of fact, those commercials are still classic to this day. So Michael Bates essentially overnight just flipped the game on sneakers. And we all got to thank, and for all you Jordan fans of Jordans, you got to thank Michael Jordan's mama, Dolores, for making him get on that plane to Oregon to talk to Nike, to see what they're presenting. And, now Nike, thanks to Jordan, has become the number one shoe in the country. If not, matter of fact, no, the whole world. So Michael Jordan definitely put Nike on the map in a whole lot of ways. Excuse me. Now, also, we got to talk about the 92 NBA title. It flashes back to that 92 title. It starts in November 91 as the Bulls were opening that season. You know, they just got their NBA championship rings. You know, a lot of people are questioning, are they just a one-hit wonder, or they can go on a run and win more? So they were very motivated to show that they weren't a fluke and just, you know, ran through the NBA. Also, they wound up facing the Portland Trail Blazers in the NBA Finals, who were one of the great teams at that time with Hall of Famer Clyde the Glide Drexler. Now, a lot of people was even comparing Clyde to Michael. And, you know, Michael took that as an insult. So Michael was motivated to basically embarrass Clyde in game one. And he did by sinking a pair of record setting threes by a player and a half in the NBA Finals. And as y'all know, the Bulls went on to win the 92 NBA title in 6 games over the Trail Blazers. So they went back to back. Okay. Want to see your thoughts in the chat? What are your comments so far about part 5 of this documentary series, man? Or if you just want to chime in, your thoughts on this whole series so far, you can do that also in the chat. Okay, now we got to go on to the 1992 Olympics, the Dream Team. Now, prior to 92, only college players were allowed to play in the Olympics. You know, the NBA depth was very strict on NBA players playing in the Olympics. Now, in the 88 Olympics, the U.S. got shellacked in the, USA basketball, ended up taking a serious annihilation in the Olympics. So, the NBA finally loosened up and started letting NBA players compete in the Olympics. So, Colangelo definitely put together the United States Dream Team. You know who was the best of the best at the time? Michael, Magic, Scotty. Went under these lights, y'all. Larry Bird, Charles Barkley. I got the list right, this whole roster right for the Dream Team in 92. Gonna get to the whole Isaiah thing in a minute. Okay, also John Stockton, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, David Robinson. So you basically had, basically a crew of NBA Hall of Famers on one team. It was coached by the late Chuck Daly, Lenny Wilkins, and PJ Simo were his assistants. Now, that's very interesting. That's definitely interesting. It's very interesting to have that type of team. Well, not that type of team, but to have that coaching staff. Now, as y'all all know, Isaiah Thomas famously or infamously was left off the 92 Dream Team. And a lot of people feel that Michael Jordan definitely had major influence over Isaiah being left off that team. But Michael Jordan says that he had nothing to do with Isaiah being left off the team. But I definitely think he had some influence by, being ho-hum, aloof, being outright silent. Also, he definitely could have spoken a little bit louder, said, I know I got my issues with him, but we definitely should have Isaiah Thomas on this team. Because everybody knows the season before in the Eastern Conference Finals when the Bulls basically had game 4 in hand and they were about to sweep the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, and the rest of the Pistons all walked off the court with seconds left into the game. They didn't even shake the Chicago Bulls' hands before they even walked off the court or when the buzzer sounded. None of the Pistons shook their hands. Now, Isaiah Thomas threw Bill Laimbeer under the bus by saying it was his idea, but a lot of people said that Chuck Daly told Isaiah not to walk off the court with seconds left in the game or show poor sportsmanship without shaking hands. In fact, Daly told him that this could haunt him for years. And you know what? Almost 30 years later, this is still talked about, and this is definitely ruined Isaiah Thomas's reputation. Excuse me. So, I think Michael Jordan definitely was quiet on Isaiah being on the team because of that incident. Some people also feel that Magic Johnson, said that Isaiah shouldn't be on the team because, when Magic announced that he had HIV in late 91, that Isaiah was spreading rumors by saying that Magic's gay, Arceo Hall is gay, and he and Arceo are secret lovers. And that definitely hurt and offended Magic. That somebody he called his best friend and a brother would do that to him. And they did not speak for years. Him and Isaiah did not speak for a long time. Matter of fact, I think that thing they did on that special they did on NBA TV a couple of years ago, I think that was the first time that they were basically in the same room publicly in years. Now, I was glad to see them talk it out, hug each other, and get past it, and even cry. I ain't gonna front. I kind of cried too on that, watching them hug and cry and see that friendship come back together. But that was a pretty rough time. Now, also, I didn't know that I forgot to say with this 92 Dream Team, Christian Laettner was chosen over Shaq. Now, that's unbelievable. Woo, imagine if Shaq was on that Dream Team. Man, Shaq would have been blocking everything, rebounding like a beast, just dunking all over any competition the U.S. faced. Man, that team would have been way more nastier with Shaq on the team. And in my opinion, I don't think Christian Laettner should have been on that team. He shouldn't have. Now, if y'all disagree with me, y'all can leave it here in the chat. But yeah, if I was Chuck Daly, I would have chose Shaq over, Christian Laettner. Him and Karl Malone would have been deadly together. And Shaq was coming in as the projected number 1 pick that year too. Man, that team would have been been more nastier if Shaq was on there. No, I'm a little thirsty, y'all. I'm gonna Get me something to drink. Give me some Crystal Light here. Okay, I'm seeing y'all coming into the live stream. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, want to see your comments in the chat on this, on these two parts tonight, or on all the parts that aired so far. All right, now. Okay, that's going to hit the spot. Now, also on the 92 team, well, now on the Dream Team, he was playing for another country. Tony Kukoc was playing for Croatia at the time. And Michael and Scotty found out that the Bulls had drafted him. And man, they were, you know, matter of fact, that whole Michael and Scotty were very mean to Tony Kukoc at the time. They were just cold-blooded towards this man. You know, Croatia in one of their games, they went out of their way to not just embarrass Croatia, they really went out of their way to embarrass Tony Kukoc. And, you know, they were just beating him up. Man, that man took a hell of a pounding in that first game. And, man, Scotty took a hell of a cheap shot at Kukoc by saying, well, if he can't take those hits, he don't need to be in the NBA. That was cold-blooded, man. Straight cold-blooded. But then, you know, in the next game, Croatia played against the U.S., Tony Kukoc definitely showed a lot of heart out there against, you know, those USA players, especially Michael and Scottie Pippen, as he ended up basically winning their respect. Despite the fact Croatia didn't win the game, of course, you know, he won a lot of respect from the USA players, especially Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Right. And also, you know, he would end up being a vital player in their second three-peat as he was the sixth man off the bench. You know, and also Tony Kukoc kind of, you know, proved that foreign players could translate well into the NBA. You know, because let me tell you something. Foreign players, a lot of them start playing earlier than American players. You know, as a matter of fact, some players play in the league in their countries at a younger age as teenagers. As a matter of fact, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks played, you know, in the professional league in his country at the age of 14. You know, compared to cats like LeBron, Kobe, and KG, who got drafted straight out of high school. But you know, Tony, but yeah, I gotta give it to Kukoc. He definitely showed a lot of heart in that second game against the US team after just taking such a beating, you know, being clowned, being insulted, especially by, you know, two giants of the game at the time in Michael and Scotty. He definitely stepped up, and he definitely, you know, stepped up very well when he got to the Bulls, as he was a big part of the, you know, Bulls three-peat. Second three-peat, excuse me. And also, that 92 Olympics definitely shot up Michael Jordan into it to being a global icon. Excuse me. You know, as they were showing the clips of him going through Barcelona, man, everybody just wanted to be around him, take pictures with him, get autographs. Everybody wanted a piece of Michael. And that's when the classic Gatorade commercial, "I Want to Be Like Mike," came out. So Jordan, basically made excuse me, the NBA a very global entity, as he was selling a lot, as his shoes were selling. Also, his brand was just worldwide. After the U.S. won that Olympic medal in basically in decisive fashion. Excuse me. Ever since then, the NBA has been global, and it hasn't turned back ever since. Excuse me. Now we gotta get to the controversy of The Last Dance. There's always been this debate whether athletes should get involved in politics or social issues. We've seen, cats like Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now you have players like LeBron who are, heavily involved in social issues, addressing social issues. Now, as we all know, well, maybe not all of us know, but most of us know, back in the early 90s, Michael Jordan was, had a black candidate in his home state of North Carolina going for U.S. Senator. Try to make sure I get the candidate's name right. Okay, so in Michael's home state of North Carolina, there was a black candidate named Harvey Gantt that was going up against incumbent Congressman Jesse Helms, who has had a long history of being extremely racist for for a Senate seat. And a lot of people definitely were all over Michael Jordan's, helmet for not endorsing Gantt, who was an African American candidate, as most people of Carolina wanted Jesse Helms voted out. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm sitting up here. What's causing me to cough here? So, Michael Jordan decided not to get involved in, politics because, he said the famous quote, "Republicans buy sneakers too." To me, I think Jordan would have been better off just saying no comment instead of saying that comment, because, in the public, well, especially in the black community, it looks like Jordan's kind of taking the coward's way out, or, he's taking the easy way out instead of, picking a side. Instead of picking a side, it's like he's basically, there, I should say, that he's sitting up cooning in a lot of people's eyes. So, in my opinion, Michael at that time, he should have just said no comment. That way it shows that he's not, picking either side. But in my opinion, he could have at least saw, he didn't have to be public about his support for Gannon or his lack of support. He could have went behind. He could have found a way to meet with Gannett personally behind the scenes. Nobody has to know, just to see what he's about. But Jordan chose the, politically correct answer because, matter of fact, a lot of athletes during that time were not very political or involved in social issues. They were more just about their money. Only a small number of athletes were, heavily involved with social issues and politics. Like Jordan's teammate, Craig Hodges. He was definitely, involved in social issues. As y'all all know, that he wore dashiki to the White House after the Bulls, after the Bulls won their first championship, and sat down with George Bush, confront him on certain issues. But Michael Jordan chose not to do that. And also, I think we as the public kind of go too hard on athletes who do decide to go that route. Like, Lauren Ingram saying that shut up and dribble stuff to LeBron. Y'all gotta realize these athletes, they're American citizens too, just like anybody else. They have their issues, they have their concerns, and they have a right to agree or disagree with them. Now, for those who don't want to get involved, okay, that's cool. But on the flip side, don't knock those who choose to get involved. But I do think Jordan would have been just better off either not saying anything or just saying no comment on the whole Helms and Gannett Senate race. Senate race at the time. I was saying congressional. It was Senate. My mistake. Excuse me. Now, we got to get into part 6. And part 6 of this documentary definitely started talking about Michael Jordan's gambling addiction. Yes, I'm going to say addiction, because he had a heavy gambling problem, okay? Especially back in the 90s. So when under these lights, y'all gotta excuse me. Jordan, it was known that Jordan would, bet in a lot of these golf games for a whole bunch of money. As a matter of fact, in the documentary, it was addressed that he had written a big check to this guy named Slim because he owed a gambling debt. Excuse me. And the media was the media was heavily suspecting that Michael Jordan had a huge gambling problem. And also, they interviewed John Paxson, one of Jordan's former teammates, recalling how, because he and another teammate, he didn't say his name, would play poker for $1 a hand. And Michael Jordan came up to them in the front of the plane where they were playing and asked, could he play? And John Paxson was like, well, why the hell you want to play with us? Because he tells him, I want your money in my pocket. But Michael tries to defend it by saying that it's not a gambling problem, it's a competition problem. No, bruh, that's a gambling problem, okay? You had a big gambling problem. But I know y'all diehard Jordan fans may be offended by this, but I'm just being real here. You know, when I started doing these recaps, I said I'm gonna be as objective as I can. And Michael Jordan had a big ass gambling problem. Matter of fact, I know a couple of people in my family that have big gambling problems. So I'm speaking from experience here. This ain't me trying to hate on nobody or trying to throw shade. I'm speaking from experience because I've seen it firsthand with somebody who's got a big gambling problem. Excuse me. Now, also, after a game in the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks, he and his father go to Atlantic City, to a new casino, and they're there almost all night to the point where the team couldn't look for him. Now Michael Jordan said, tried to say, well, it's we were just getting away from the stress of losing the game because the Bulls were down 2-0 against the Knicks in the 93 Eastern Conference Finals. So, he tried to say that they were just trying to blow off some steam. And maybe they were, but you could definitely see Jordan's gambling addiction starting to intensify. Excuse me. When you start basically getting out your hookup, it's that you definitely got a problem, because prior to other seasons, even with the first 2 championships, Jordan wasn't engaging in that type of stuff, but now all of a sudden he was engaging in it. Y'all gotta excuse me. So the media definitely starts to hear about this, pick up steam, starting to run various stories in the press about, Jordan's gambling problem. Jordan gets so mad and, defensive that he doesn't talk to the media for a while. Get some more of this salad. Yep, Jordan does not talk to any media for a while. And that's including his boy, Ahmad Rashad. But now, if you ain't got no problem, why not talk? Why not address it head on? Jordan not talking to the media about the whole gambling thing, it made him look defensive, and it makes it look like he's hiding something. And also the most guilt, I always got this saying, the guilty always speak first. And the reason why I say that is because, people who are either defensive or don't say anything, they're definitely guilty and they got something to hide. As my mom used to say, if you ain't done nothing, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So if Michael didn't do anything, why was he so angry and defensive with the media to the point he didn't stop, that he wasn't even talking to him? Now, he did finally start talking to the media again. The only person in the media he talked to coming off of his silence was his boy Ahmad Rashad right before the 93 NBA Finals. And in this interview, Michael Jordan has sunglasses on, like, don't nobody know who he is. Like, come on, we know you Michael Jordan now. Like, take off the sunglasses, bruh. You sitting up shading your eyes like a drug addict. Very suspect right there, Jordan wearing those sunglasses. And also, he basically tried to deny that he had a gambling addiction, saying, well, if I had a gambling addiction, I'd be pawning my, rings, all my stuff. My wife would have left me, my kids would have left me. Addiction is not that simple, okay? It's not like that. You don't have to pawn your own stuff or be damn near broke to have a gambling addiction. When you an addiction is when you basically out of your hook. It takes you out of your hookup, your normal routine. If you spending more time, whatever your addictive vice is, then your normal life, you got a problem. And Michael was constantly in these daggone golf games. In these casinos constantly and consistently. Yeah, he had the money to do it, but still, Michael had a big gambling problem back then. He did. And once again, this ain't me trying to throw shade at Michael, trying to throw him under the bus. I'm just, going by what I've seen, what I heard, and what was presented to me. And also, I'm speaking from experience because I have a couple of family members who have a gambling addiction. So for those of you that's watching this live stream right now, or, if you watch this on the replay, this ain't me throwing shade. This is me going by what I've heard, what I've seen, what's presented to me, and also a little bit of experience. And Michael definitely had a huge gambling problem at that time. A major gambling problem. He was getting into these big golf games and bets with these shady characters. That's what gambling definitely does to you. It introduces you to a lot of shady characters. And also, I'm not saying this is true. This is just a rumor. A lot of people suspect that that's what got Michael Jordan's father killed, because he owed gambling debts. But yeah, Michael had a huge gambling problem. And also, that Ahmad Rashad interview, he was very defensive. Like he just had something, like he was covering up something. Like, dude, if you don't have this problem, you ain't gotta cover up nothing. You ain't gotta put sunglasses on your face. You could just tell the whole story plain and clear. Just like some alcoholics and drug addicts feel like they're not alcoholics and drug addicts because they go to work every day. In their minds, they think alcoholics and drug addicts don't work. That's not true. There's functioning drug addicts just like there's functioning gambaholics. Excuse me. So Michael was heavy in denial about his gambling problem at the time. When a person's in denial about something, it's like they want to believe a pig is a cow, but it isn't. But they try to convince other people that pig is a cow. That's how I look at when people are in denial about stuff. You want to make something different than what it really is. But yeah, Michael and the main, and he also said in his interview, "Oh, I could stop gambling." Like, no, you can't. That's the number one thing any addict says. They can stop when they want to. And no, you cannot stop. And he did not stop. But also, I wanted to know, why did his family step in and try to help him? Or did they? And they just left that out. I always wondered that. Why didn't his family step in and help him? Or his dad should have told him that night and say, no, son, you don't need to go. Go to Atlantic City after, the season. Don't do this now. In some ways, Michael was enabled as well in his addiction. But that's enough of that. Now, another interesting part of part 6 was, they talked about Sam Smith's book, The Jordan Rules, which came out around 89, about 90, about 91. Excuse me, 91 or 92 after one of the Bulls' first 2 championships. And, there were some parts of the book that revealed never heard before stuff to the public. Now, the main thing that was revealed in that book was Michael would not pass the ball to certain guys, and he also said in practice, if they messed up, he wasn't going to give them the ball again. Now, that's some punk stuff to say right there. That's a shitty thing to say to your teammates, that if they make a mistake or two, you would never give them the ball again. That's like some little kid stuff. Excuse me. It's like playing basketball, kickball, football, whatever, and you're losing and you want to take your ball and go home. That's what came off to me as, when I heard this watching part 6 tonight. Like, man, that's coming off very immature and really childish. Like, come on, man. Who even said some shit like that? Oh, well, I'm not going to pass you the ball anymore. Like, man, a lot of a good amount of George's teammates said that he was a straight asshole. And he was to them. As a matter of fact, me and Too Raw for TV did a live stream together a couple of weeks ago. He recalled how, when Bill Cartwright first joined the team, that Michael would intentionally throw the ball to Bill Cartwright on purpose so he wouldn't get it, because he made jokes about him, because there was jokes going around about how small his hands were. Excuse me. And Michael Jordan went out of his way to make Cartwright look bad on purpose. But, one day Cartwright stepped up to Jordan, went up in his face, and basically told him that he kept on doing that he was going to whoop Jordan's ass. And Michael Jordan didn't do that no more. As a matter of fact, ended up respecting Bill Cartwright. And yeah, Michael, and looking at this documentary, hearing some of the bad parts, some of the bad stuff Michael did. The problem is, a lot of people on that team did not G-check Michael. And Michael should have got G-checked a lot more than what he did back then. He got away with some murder. As a matter of fact, if Jordan played today, he would get G-checked by some people. He definitely deserved to get G-checked a lot more back then. But I'm glad Bill Cartwright G-checked him. Now, also another thing that was revealed, in Sam Smith's book, that he punched Will Perdue in the face during a practice. Now, we always heard about him punching Steve Kerr in the face. You know what? I'm going to say this right here, right now. I don't give a damn what George fans say. You fanboys can get mad at me all you want to, but I'm going to say Jordan did a lot of bitch-made stuff back then. For real. Okay, you going to punch Will Perdue in his face, but you won't go punch Horace Grant in the face. You wouldn't roll and punch Bill Cartwright in the face or Dennis Rodman or Ron Harper, because you know why? They would have knocked Jordan's ass out. That's why he wouldn't roll up and punch them in the face. Jordan had no. In a lot of ways, Jordan was a bully. Let's just be real, because he only did that, punched on people that he knew he could get that off on. You know, and Will Perdue definitely should have clocked Michael Jordan back in his face. I don't care if that was me. I don't care if I do get my butt kicked. I'm gonna send a message to him that you ain't just gonna roll. You ain't just gonna punch me in my face, dog. I ain't your punching bag. Like, come on, man. You don't see them go punching your teammates in the face. That's some punk shit right there. And I know Jordan fanboys, well, he got 3 rings out of it. Like I said, Jordan should have been G-checked a lot more. And he only did that to people he knew he could get off on. He knew he couldn't go doing that to Horace Grant or Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman or Ron Harper. He knew he couldn't go doing that to them. Because a lot of times they would have ended up fighting back or ultimately end up beating his ass. You know, Michael did do a lot of punk stuff back in the day. Like, okay, like this one fight, okay, when he got into it with Reggie Miller, this dude gonna scratch Reggie Miller's face like a damn female. What man do you know scratches another man's face in a fight? I'll wait. And if you say you've seen men scratch other men in the face during a fight, then that whoever that dude, those dudes are, they are some straight punks. You don't scratch another man in the face while y'all in a fight. No. That just makes you look very, very suspect if you do that. But yeah, Jordan knew he could get away with that because Will Perdue wouldn't do nothing. And Steve Kerr wouldn't do nothing. But Will Perdue definitely should have punched Michael Jordan back. Even if he wouldn't have won that fight, he should have sent him a message that, hey, you ain't gonna be hitting on me, dog. I ain't nobody's punching bag. I'm a grown man just like you. You know, you gotta send that message like, dude, your kids at home, you hit on them like that, not me. And also, Phil should have checked Michael Jordan over that. Because, man, a team's supposed to be sticking together and supposed to be getting the best out of each other, not punching on nobody. Like, it's a way to check somebody if they messing up. You don't lay hands on another person because they messed up. I've messed up times on jobs. None of my supervisors ever put their hands on me. Because if they did, then we would have a big issue. Okay, now my other point that revealed in Sam Smith's book. It was also revealed that Horace Grant definitely resented the fact that Michael Jordan was getting all the credit and he hardly got any of the credit. Well, excuse me. Now, Horace Grant in his interview denied that he never said that to Sam Smith, despite the fact they had a very close relationship at the time, but he said he never revealed that to Sam Smith. Now, I can understand Horace Grant's frustrations a little bit because he was definitely a vital part of those first 3-peat teams. You know, he brought the toughness, he brought the defense, and the rebounding. And also, Horace Grant made a few all-defensive NBA teams as well. So, in some ways, Horace Grant was definitely underappreciated, by the media as well as Chicago Bulls fans. A lot of Chicago Bulls fans. Because after, he left and went to Orlando, they definitely didn't have it against Shaq in that 95 playoff series. As they ultimately won in Chicago and they carried Horace Grant off the floor. Excuse me. So I could definitely see why Horace Grant was a little frustrated at that time. Because, like I said, he was definitely vital in the Bulls winning those first 3 championships. If they don't have his toughness, rebounding, and defense, maybe they don't win those 3 championships. Maybe they or maybe they just win maybe 1 or 2. Who knows? But I don't think it was like resentment to the point where, he just wanted all the shine. I just think Horace Grant just wanted folks to acknowledge his contribution to that team. And I can't blame him for that. We all want, to be recognized for our accomplishments and the things that we do. So I didn't get that vibe off of Horace Grant that he wanted more shine than Michael Jordan and Scottie. He just wanted to be acknowledged along with them. So that's my take on Horace Grant. Now, excuse me, they also flash back and forth to that Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks in 93, where the Bulls rallied from 2-0 down to win that series. As everybody knows, the final seconds of that Game 5, where it was very close, Charles Smith tried to, score the game winner, but Scottie, Horace Grant, Michael Jordan all, built a wall around them to make that, so that ball wouldn't go in. They ended up closing it out and head on to the 93 finals. Now, Charles Barkley said in his interview for The Last Dance that, he and his son's team were determined to win that series. They had the best record in the league that year. Charles Barkley was MVP, but the Bulls ended up beating them in both games on the road in Phoenix. The first one was kind of convincing. The second one came down to a very close game. Then Phoenix goes into Chicago and wins Game 3. Then the Bulls end up winning Game 4. And after Game 4, a lot of Bulls fans were ready for the celebration, the coronation. They definitely thought that, they were going to win it at home. But, Phoenix took care of business in Game 5 to extend the series, send it back to Phoenix. And before Game 6, Michael said, hey, I packed 1 suit and I only plan to win 1 game. I don't want to win 2. And that Game 6 was definitely classic as Suns led most of the way, but Michael scored the last 6 points of the game, but it was John Paxson who hit the game-winning shot to give the Bulls their first 3-peat. And that was a hell of a shot, too, by Paxson. A lot of people don't talk about that shot. That was a hell of a shot by Paxson. And how he just stepped up in that moment. But, looking at, some of this footage is never before seen after that championship. You could just tell that Michael was just exhausted. He just lost his love for the game. You could just tell that the hunger wasn't there anymore. That he was just ready to just let it go, ready to retire, just walk off into the sunset. And also looking at the first 2 championships the Bulls won, Michael had fun with, in winning those 2 championships in the way he celebrated. it seemed like the third one against the Suns felt more like work than fun. And then at the end of the, part 6, they flash it back to April of 1998 as the Bulls are getting ready for their first round series against the New Jersey Nets as they're trying to go for their second three-peat. And Michael Jordan's in the car talking to Amari Shai for, an interview for NBC, where I think it was either for the pregame show or Inside Stuff. And, Michael was just telling him how a lot of guys want to be dragged off the court playing like, he said Patrick Ewing said he wanted that, but he just said, I don't want to be dragged off the court. I want to walk off the court. So that was a pretty good way to wrap up, both parts of this, both parts of this airing tonight. Excuse me. And I think parts 5 and part 6 did a real good job of showing the good and the bad of Michael Jordan and turmoil that surrounded him at that time. A lot of people, Michael Jordan said before this documentary aired that he was worried about how it would make him look like a bad guy. Nobody's saying Jordan was bad, but Jordan, you did a lot of bad shit back then, okay? Excuse my language, but you did. It showed him success at the highest level, but it also showed, that it's lonely at the top, as well as it showed his gambling addiction. It revealed, the arguments and fights he got into it with teammates. Excuse me. So, as I said in my video, it's just about presenting Michael Jordan as a human and just telling an objective story. And so far in these first few parts that's aired of The Last Dance, that they've done a pretty good job of telling of an objective, honest story. And I just can't wait for the final 2 parts to air. Well, anyways, y'all, I'm about to get out of here. Thank y'all for joining me for this recap. Next week, I'm going to be doing a video, watching giving my live reaction to The Last Dance. Then I'm going to do a recap video. Gonna have my dude Jay Moore on there next week. So y'all stay tuned for that. I definitely can't wait to pick his brain about the 90s Chicago Bulls and that whole era. And how was it for him as a native Chicagoan? So y'all definitely want to check that out. Y'all don't want to miss it. Excuse me. But once again, I thank y'all for joining me. Also, if this is your first time here to this channel, welcome. Don't make it your last. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click that bell icon and click all so you don't miss any new videos or upcoming live streams from me. Like, next Sunday, where I'll be doing the live reaction during the broadcast of part 7 and 8 and my recap for part 7 and 8 with Jay Moore reviews. So, gotta get out of here, y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. Till then, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. QC out.